Hello and welcome back to Study History with Mr. P, and this is the first in a series of revision videos from me looking at the Whitechapel crime policing and inner city section of your crime and punishment paper. So part one is looking at policing the nation. So first of all, how were police forces organised? Well, there were many different police forces at this time. Many counties, for example, had their own police force, and within these counties, many cities and towns had separate forces too. The Home Secretary, who was a member of government and a member of the Cabinet, had little control over local police forces outside of London, which were usually run by watch committees made up of local politicians, law professionals and others. The one exception to this was, of course, the Metropolitan Police, which is the focus of this topic. They reported directly to the Home Secretary, who also appointed the head of the force. Now, the government was reluctant to give up this influential relationship, so when the London City Council was set up in 1889, there were discussions about giving it control over the Met, but the government resisted because it feared that the Met would fall under the influence of socialist members of the new council and others with close connections to the working classes. The Met Police itself was hampered by insufficient manpower, so although they had about 13,000 men by 1885, only 1,383 were available for duty at any one time, for example. Now, within this topic, we have to look at using sources, and there are a range of different sources that are relevant to this inquiry. Official statistics, for example, for crime and policing are held by the National Archive and include data for the 19th century. Individual police forces kept records, but only when arrests were made or reports were made, so records are actually incomplete. There are also official release papers of prisoners known as freedom licenses and court records. Memoirs from the time exist too. These are accounts by individuals, so based on their diaries or their own memories, from police officers. These do exist, but they tend to present their own lives in a positive way, so are somewhat skewed. The media also reported on crime at this time, and this can be a useful source of evidence sometimes, but some, especially the more sensationalist publications, did not let facts get in the way of a good story, and some were indeed anti-police. The recording of crime by police forces was not consistent at this time either. So all in all, this gives us a real mixture of sources with variable usefulness and reliability. The CID, or Crime Investigation Department. Well, a detective department was added to the Met Police in 1842, but it was very small. The CID was created in 1878 with 216 officers. And this seemed to clear up the confusion between crime detection and crime prevention, but actually corruption in the service continued and detection standards did not improve. Charles Warren was a former Army general. In 1886, he was appointed Metropolitan Police Commissioner. This, in some respects, in many people's minds, added to the idea that the police were the government in uniform. It was he who called in the army to help during the Bloody Sunday demonstration and appeared to enjoy the events himself. He was forced out of the police force, not just for this, but because Jack the Ripper was not caught whilst he was in charge of the Met Police. Now, I mentioned a moment ago Bloody Sunday. This happened in 1887. The Met Police attempted to stop a demonstration in Trafalgar Square. Public meetings such as this had been banned just a few days before, and police from H Division, the division operating in Whitechapel, were involved. The police response, though, was violent, leading to several deaths, and the army were also called in to help deal with protesters, which gave the impression that they favoured the middle classes over the poor. So thanks for listening to this quick summary. Please look out for the remaining parts which will follow to give you a quick revision overview for this topic.